In a moment, Bryson Quinn joins us to discuss his starring role in our multi-award-winning film and share about his life and artistic journey. I'm Robert X. Golphin, and this is an RXG exclusive.
We must open up our minds and take a look inside. I bet we find we hold all the answers tonight.
You're watching RXG exclusives.
Oh, they tried to keep us away, yeah.
Bryson Quinn is a non-binary actor. He also holds a BFA in kinetic imaging. And that's where we'll begin. Bryson, thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Now, you're an alum of the Virginia Commonwealth University, where you studied animation. Tell me what sparked your interest in this field, and can you explain for us laymen what kinetic imaging actually is?
It's just animation. They had a really stupid, they made it sound way more whimsical than it was, but it was just animation. And it's funny because initially, like, I was so sure that I wanted to animate until I actually got to school and learned how much went into being an animator, and I was like, nope. Like, I can like do other stuff if y'all need me to like put rigging and like I got really overwhelmed. But I watched a lot of animated films growing up, as I'm sure like most people my age did. I still watch animated films. I don't think it's possible to grow out of that really. But yeah, that's I specifically saw Disney's Dinosaur. Like, it came out like back in like 2001 or 2 or something, but that kind of like that was like my movie.
Now, your skills in this area have garnered you various illustration jobs. Can you tell us more about that?
So I was still really good at drawing. Like, I still like drawing. That was something that I didn't think that I didn't want to do. I just didn't want to do the animating part, which luckily there's still a field for illustration. But yeah, no, I graduated, and then immediately after graduating, I took on a lot of like illustration gigs kind of thing. Like, I did some book cover work. I did commission, just like freelance, like this person wants a drawing to give like to his wife or something. I did a lot of those kind of things. I made business cards once, which was super weird because that's usually a thing that you do for like graphic design majors. But they wanted me to do it, which was nice. I did motion graphics for a little bit, and then I got exhausted because that's also animation, just like more After Effects-y stuff. But yeah, no, illustration was it was a safe like hobby that I could make money off of, that also I still enjoyed doing without feeling that I was like wearing myself ragged. So that was what I did for like 2.5 years out of college.
Now, you've been very transparent on social media about your illustration efforts, sharing some of your work, taking people behind the scenes of a book that you're working on, but your artistry is not limited to this. You nurtured your thespian skills in elementary school and high school stage productions. I understand, though, it wasn't until more recently that you were bitten by the bug. You made your screen debut with the lead role in the 2021 film Saving Springville.
My mom tells me that the things that'll keep me grounded are not my love for the fantastical or literally anything else that brings me joy.
You had a voiceover role in last year's animated feature, The Addams Family 2, and your second leading role is earning much acclaim. Now playing on the festival circuit is the coming-of-age film How to Tie a Tie, in which you portray the role of Dominique, a young man whom, after being publicly disowned by his father, must learn to tie his tie in time for his high school formal. Now, I was privileged to play your father in the film, written and directed by Sean Holmes, an award-winning filmmaker. I won't give away the details of our father-son conflict, but for people that read between the logline, they'll get the nugget. And Bryson, I have to add that when I first arrived on set, I tried the whole semi-method route of keeping my distance and not chatting much with you, at least until we rehearsed. But your warmth and your energy made that impossible. How did you land the role of Dominique, and what was your experience like working on the movie?
I did through Backstage, obviously shout out to Backstage, but I did the audition process through them, and I sent in my tape literally like the day of. I think I was talking to Sean. I was like, hey, I know it's like, no, the deadline's at midnight. I got you. Just give me 1 second to get off work, and I got you. I have all the lines memorized. I swear to God, I'm gonna kill it. And I sent it to him, and I didn't hear anything back. I was like, okay, I waited way too long. But then, like, I guess, like, I don't know how many days or so after that, but it was enough to me. Like, I got worried. But I also wasn't used to, like, I'm still new to this, so I'm not used to like turnaround times and all that stuff. So I thought that however long it had been, I'm like, okay, I messed up. I waited too long to submit. It's over. And then you sent me the contract, and I was like, okay, thank you. So this was a big deal. I was very excited to have another lead under my belt. I guess it was very fun, and for it to be a story that was like closer to home, that was super neat. But yeah, that was the whole process.
Now, we worked together in the latter half of principal photography, but I visited set early to meet you and our co-stars and stayed to watch you all work, and there was a definite chemistry between you and your on-screen mother, Deshaun White, and one of the male figures in your character's life, Stephen B. Walters, who both gave such authentic and poised performances. How did the three of you build such a camaraderie?
Well, me and Steven were clowns. So that was, we both are just, we can't take stuff seriously. Like, Deshaun, I met her, when did we all move in? We had to live together too. That was a whole thing. Like, when y'all like left, we just roamed about the Airbnb. We just lived there for like a day or so. So that also super helped. Like, we got to like talk to each other after the shoot and be like, oh yeah, that was like this thing and that thing, and oh, that was really cool, or oh, like, yeah, because I was living in Dominique's room too. Like, I was sleeping in Dominique's room, so like it was also this added level of like, I don't know, believability, I guess. But yeah, no, we all got along immediately, and especially like after that first day of shooting, we did all that heavy stuff. We got to talk about it, and that was super cool. The scene specifically with prom, when Deshaun was taking the pictures of us and stuff, that was really, she was taking real photos and like showing them to us afterwards. She's like, I'm gonna keep them. I was like, okay, you can keep them. But yeah, no, they were all really nice, and I'm glad we all got along, and that was also like super, like, that you can see that we all immediately got along together too, because we were all super easygoing.
Now, I'd be remiss not to single out your performance in Thai. It was beautiful and vulnerable, truly award-worthy, and I'm saying that as an actor and a filmmaker. That bedroom scene where you're on the floor, that's your Oscar moment. During the making of this film, did you feel any pressure knowing that you were carrying this film on your shoulders?
Yeah, no, that's also part of why I didn't submit until super late, was because I was telling my partner, I was like, I really don't want to do something super sad, because up until that point I hadn't done anything super sad, and I was really scared about if I would be willing to commit to that or not, because I hadn't done anything, and I hadn't read the whole script yet either, so that was another thing. And then when I read it, I was like, oh fuck, I can't do this, I really can't. I was like, oh god. And then but yeah, no, there was a lot of reservations. I'm not used to being super vulnerable to people in general. I have a hard time like expressing myself without like rambling off, but yeah, no, it was really especially again since it was a story that had to do so much with stuff that I could also relate to, and that did make it easier, but it also made it harder because then I'd be like, well, how much of myself am I supposed to be giving away? Or at what point is it me, and at what point is it Dom, or is like how much of this is Dominique and how much of this is Bryce and all this other stuff. And me and Sean, he had me close my eyes and we talked about like stuff or like how am I feeling? What do you see? Like, da, 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 da. I forgot what the method's called, but that's what we were doing for a long time before I actually came downstairs and did the scene too. And I think the last take that was just me organically crying is the take that we used.
Wow.
Because I did something really weird when I saw Deshawn come in. I like covered my face. I like went like this or something. Like I looked away from her and I was like, oh God, she can't see me like this. But I was like, wait. I was like, there's a camera. Like this is all happening.
Earlier this year saw a glitzy and glamorous red carpet screening of the film in West Virginia, Wheeling, West Virginia.
How to tie a tie. Don't miss a night of glitz and glamour as you experience a red carpet entrance.
Unfortunately, I could not attend, but I lived vicariously through all of the pictures and videos. Tell me what that night was like for you. I suspect it was very special.
It was, God, it was so funny because my parents were like, where's the premiere? And I was like, it's in West Virginia. They're like, West Virginia? I was like, well, Sean's from West Virginia. It's fine. They're like, be careful up there. Like, West Virginia's full of like a bunch of crazy country people and all that. And I was like, it'll be fun. So like I brought my friends and my partner and we went up to do the thing. And we drove up and just drove back the next day. So that was super fun. It was like a little road trip. And yeah, no, it was cold. It was, all I remember is it was really cold. It was super cold, especially since I wanted to wear a dress. It's like my legs were out. I was freezing, but we did it. We all did it. We had fun. It was a little surreal because again, like I'd been doing, you know, little things here, nothing that ever warranted a premiere. Like I didn't even know that, like they told me that we were having a premiere. I was like, oh fuck. I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like I'd never done something like that before. Like I'd never had a red carpet kind of deal experience. It also freaked me out a lot because there were a lot of people coming to me after the film and like shaking my hand and like, oh, you did a great job. And I was just like, oh God, oh cool, yeah, hey, how's it going?
You were signing autographs too.
Yeah, that was also really, I just wasn't used to receiving that kind of accolades and praise in such like a crazy like amount. So, and then seeing the movie, I kept talking during the entire movie and my partner got really mad at me because I was like, oh man, I was like, oh, I look stupid here. He's like, shut up. Like I'm trying to watch. Like, or like when I was crying, I was like, oh, I look so ugly. And he was like, that's the point. Like, I was like, it was just, I was so scared. Like my heart was like, I don't know, it's different. It's like you make this thing and you hope that people like it and then people like it. It's like, oh, thank God. Like, oh, I'm so happy everybody had the same, you know, response to something that we put our hearts and souls into. But no, I was shaking. I was like trembling. I couldn't even stand up straight. Like my feet hurt because I was wearing those heels. And at some point I just had to sit down on the stairs. People were walking by, like waving to me. And I was just like, hey. But it was really fun. It was super fun. I'm glad. I wish you could have come.
I know.
You could come. It was very fun.
Our film has been called beautiful, intense, and hopeful. And if you're anything like me, you want people to be touched by your work in some way. Is there anything in particular that you hope audiences feel while watching the film?
I got a, I'm not going to say who it is because I don't know if they want me to say who it is, but I got a message from someone and they were like, thank you so much for like, for portraying Dominique the way that you portrayed Dominique. That was very real for me because I'm also like, we all are, you know, we're queer Black kids out here just doing the thing. And I was so taken aback by that because I'd forgotten that other people that were maybe, or at some point in Dominic's position, would have to see this, instead of just people who just were watching the movie, you know, seeing a character. So that was surreal. I did not expect that to happen to me at all, but it was super eye-opening, because again, like the hardest part of doing this movie was the whole the bedroom scene. That was the hardest part, because that took so much prep and pre-work and rehearsing and takes that we didn't even use. And at that point I was just like dry. Like I was because we still had to shoot the prom scene after that. So I had to like, all right, we're chipper now. We can't like, and it's hard for me to, because we had to go to a really dark place for that too. So it's really hard. It was hard to go down so far deep and come back up and act like we're good for the next scene. So I'm glad that other people saw my real raw emotion, latched on to that. I'm glad that was, because that was me. Like at some point I wasn't Dominique anymore, and I'm glad that resonated so strongly to the point where someone reached out, and that was insane. But I'm glad that it did that for people. It was hard because I wasn't used to showing my vulnerable side, so I'm glad that people could see that vulnerability, relate to it, and realize that this is all something that needs to happen. Healing is good. You know, it's good to heal. It's good to cry sometimes. And also shout out to Deshawn for helping like pull me back in. After that, she's a great mother, at least a great on-stage mother. But yeah, I'm just glad it reached the right people, and that it was, and I'm glad that they felt that I was being honest too, because I tried so hard to do that.
Well, the demand for a feature-length adaptation of How to Tie a Tie is there. If Sean invites you back, if he invites us all back, would you be willing to take the ride again?
Yes, absolutely. I would be more than happy. I think that's super exciting. And honestly, if it keeps up on the path that like award-winning official selection, like I love that. I'm very excited. I would be more than happy to reprise the role of Dominique and make it a full-length thing, because I wanted to see more of him and his friends. Like I really want that. Like I really want to. It's probably also because I just want to hang out with Jayla and Belinda, but like it's fine. but yeah.
Now, Bryson, you recently signed with Transgender Talent, a management and production company for transgender and non-binary performers. Congratulations.
Thank you.
There have certainly been strides in the industry with regard to inclusion and diversity. However, there's room for more improvement. What are your expectations for artists like yourself in this industry?
When I was brought on, it was really funny because Ann Thomas, she was telling me that there's not a lot of trans A-listers, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, you're right. There's not a lot of, no. It's like there's not a lot of that. Or like there's not a lot of trans actors that you know outside of like Laverne Cox. You know, like that's like there's two maybe, you know, that people actually know or be like, oh yeah. And she's trying to change that. And like my rep Kitara, shout out Kitara, specifically, I've talked to her a lot on and off about how much I was willing to, well, not exploit, but like I don't know, like something that I run into recently is that a lot of people don't know what like non-binary means, like in the film industry, like because I had to turn something down because one of my reps had worked with the director before, and he was, well, whoever they were like super not like they didn't get it. They just didn't get it. They were writing a movie from a perspective that they just didn't get. And it was about a non-binary character, but they were calling them a girl. So it was like really confusing. But apparently like they worked with them in the past and it was really shady and they didn't do it anymore. So they told me to stay away. So we did. But yeah, no, it was it's interesting seeing how trans people and non-binary people and also are perceived from like a film point of view, because my little window of what is it, of eyesight hasn't been this wide before until I started interacting with literal strangers every day, you know, and like meeting people for like auditions or meeting people for this and that and that. And there have been plenty of times when people were like, hey, yo, like tell me how I can make this better for you, because I don't know what the hell I'm, you know, like, so like that was neat. But I guess I would like to push for it's and again, I'm very privileged in the fact that I look very male, because it took a lot to get here, but I'm very privileged in the fact that I can play a cis male role, or that I can play a just guy, you know, without the guy being trans too. And not a lot of people have that opportunity, especially me being non-binary, so that's another added layer of stuff. But I think like the push for trans actors playing cis characters, and the push for like trans people to be able to exist in a space without it just being, oh, this guy's trans, you know, like for a lot of things, it's like being trans is all that character does, when that's not necessarily, there's so many more facets to that person, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm sorry, I had like 3 different thoughts.
No, that's fine. That's what we're here for.
It's good that it's good that this is happening, and I'm very happy to be a part of that. Even as teeny tiny as I am happy to be a player in that movement.
Well, that leads me to this. Tom Hanks won the Best Actor Oscar for his portrayal of an AIDS-stricken attorney who was fired by his firm in one of my all-time favorite films, 1993's Philadelphia. Tom Hanks recently told the New York Times that a straight man could not do what he did in Philadelphia today. I've spoken to LGBT artists on and off this program about straight actors playing LGBT roles and straight creators creating LGBT content. In your opinion, those who don't identify as LGBT, should they be permitted to present stories and characters about your community? Or should they stay in their own lane?
I have like a two response, because I think for like straight people playing gay characters, that's not really a huge deal, I guess, at least not to me, because usually the straight actors don't make it a costume or like a caricature, whereas when you have a cis person playing a trans person, it then becomes this like, how do I put on this costume of being a trans woman when they take it off every day, go home and be a cis man? And that's not necessarily like it's not like a switch, you know, it's not like a thing I turn, oh, I'm trans Bryce when I'm, you know, here, and then I'm cis. That's not it's I don't know how to explain it. It's the straight actors playing a gay thing, that's like, that is something I think that's happening, and it's fine and it's normal. I do want there to be more queer actors playing queer roles, because like they're out here. I think it does become a matter of question when you actively select straight actors over the gay actors. Like that's a thing that I think that's a problem. Especially since we do have plenty of LGBT like same love actor people who need their shot, you know, and who need their big break. And it's a matter of like why is so and so reaching out to this straight guy when they could reach out to this gay person? You know what I mean? Like finding the people to do the role instead of finding a guy that you think can do the thing that this guy who does the thing every day has been doing. But I don't like when cis actors play trans characters, because it usually comes cis actors play trans characters. It usually comes from like it's just so, because especially for trans women, like they are seen as men in costumes, which is the problem. So having a man play a trans woman is kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a certain level of like no touch. Like there's like, okay, straight guy playing gay guy, it's fine. But there's like a level of like we don't do that. Like don't, like we anything perpetuating, I think the whole man in drag, man in costume, man in this as trans woman is like bleh. But I honestly I haven't seen a lot of women. Well, actually I lied. There's this old movie called Boys Don't Cry.
Hilary Swank won the Oscar for that.
So yes, Hillary, yes. And it has not aged well. It has not aged well at all. Specifically for me, as someone who is transmasculine, it has not aged well at all. And I think that was just because it was in the early 90s. Like I think it was just a sign of the times kind of thing. Like it was a victim of the time it came out, because it was so just like, I don't know. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great thing, because in the special features they were like misgendering him, and I do not remember his name because I've only seen that movie once. But the actual trans man who she was portraying, they were misgendering him a lot, and they were like, yeah, she thought he was a man. And I was like, and that's the problem, is that it's seen as like a performance, when it's not. It's how that person lived.
How can we all do better?
Sorry, I don't want to say just be a good person, because that's such a vague thing to say, but it's honestly just listening. Like, you know, if you know something's not in your range of expertise, just listen. Like as you said earlier, like staying in your lane and all that stuff. Like if you don't know enough about it, just wait for someone to maybe explain it to you, or like wait for like someone to reach out and tell you what's up.
Listening is key.
Listening and being an active listener, and being in their corner, being in our corner. I am a total, like, I love growth for people. I 100% believe that humans are capable of change and learning and adapting. I think that is the right mindset to have about this kind of stuff, especially now when hope is very little. But I think it's good to recognize that for a lot of people, they just never heard of any of this shit before. Like it's like I'm learning about like there are pronouns that I've never heard of, and that's great. You know, that's great. I'm gonna be respectful and not talk, because at the end of the day, we're just coming up with words that help us feel better about ourselves to make sense of all this. You know, so it's just listening and being an active participant and being present when you're needed to be present, and supporting your fellow LGBT human beings. I guess like if someone says, hey man, that's not cool, be like, okay, it's not cool. Or if someone's like, yeah, that's good, yeah, that's cool. And obviously I'm not a spokesperson for everyone. Someone could be watching this right now and be like, yo, Bryce is full of so much shit, which is fine. That's good. You know, I'm down. Like I realize that. I realize I'm a passing person. You know, I don't fear for depending on how I'm dressing, I don't fear for my life when I leave the house. You know, I can wear this and be fine. So I recognize that. But yeah, just being attentive.
Bryson, what kind of roles or projects do you see yourself pursuing, and what's next for you?
Oh, I have a lot of stuff I can't talk about.
Okay.
I was forced to sign papers that I would not talk about these things. But aside from those things, I really want to be in a Star Wars movie. Like that would be like my magnum opus. I think if I booked a Star Wars thing, I would never work again after that. Like I would be floating, just like riding whatever cloud. But that is my, like, on my iceberg of things, that's at like the top.
So now you've got to speak that into existence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I gotta keep acting like I already am in a Star Wars film. But aside from that, like I was talking to Anne, transgender talent, shout out. But I was talking to Anne about, like, she asked me what I wanted to do. Like, you're an actor, what kind of roles do you want? You know, like, what's up? And I was like, oh God, sci-fi, some fantasy stuff. I really want to act and play characters that don't exist in the modern world we live in. I would love to escape. I really think an escape is overdue. I would really like to be a guy, you know, just a guy. Like I promised myself I wouldn't talk about John Boyega, but I'm gonna do it because I guess I have to. But he was talking in one of his interviews and he was like, I don't want it, like, he was like, I don't want to be the guy. I want to be like a guy, you know, I want to be like a guy in a movie. I don't want to be like the huge, you know, the macho man, like carrying the world on my back kind of action figure character. He's like, I just want to be a guy in a story interacting with other people. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I do want to be a guy in a movie. Like, that's pretty, like, he put it very, like, eloquently, I guess. But you know how, like, there's this joke, like, you know when you're watching a movie with your parents or something and they're like, oh, that's old dude from like that's what's his name, and they don't know who it is. Like, that's what I want. I want to pop up in so many people's TV screens that no one actually knows my name. They're just like, that's old dude from and they just say like the character's name, and the kids are like, yeah, that's so and so from that. That's who that is. But that's my dream.
So you're okay with not being followed into the bathroom and hounded for autographs when you're walking down the street?
I love my privacy. I'm a huge fan of that. I want to be able to go to McDonald's, right? And maybe like a couple people recognize me, but I don't get flung out or swarmed or something. Like, I would love to be able to still do Bryce stuff. But someone had called it voice actor famous because you don't actually realize what voice actors look like. You only hear their voices. And so you could be standing next to someone and not realize it until they start speaking. And it's like, oh shit, you know, but yeah, that's that's the high I'm chasing.
Well, Bryson, having shared the screen with you, I have no doubt that you have quite the career ahead of you. We must work together again. I don't know if that anonymity that you're looking for is going to be around much longer with the trajectory that might be ahead for you, but I wish you nothing but the best. Break a leg on all of your future endeavors.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Robert X. Golphin. Thanks for watching.
Make sure to like, comment, and hit subscribe on our YouTube channel so you never miss out. RXG Exclusives, hosted by Robert X. Golphin, now playing.